Hey, welcome. I'm glad you're here. Today we are starting something I wanted to break down for a long time. We are going to rebuild Bruno Simon's portfolio 2025 from scratch, line by line, file by file, and I'm going to explain not just what the code does, but why it's structured the way it is. Not a speedrun, not here's the repo, good luck. We are going to type it together, understand it together, and by the end you will have a real mental model of how production 3.js project is architected. And here's the important thing for all the series. We are not making the 3D models, we are not opening Blender, we are not painting textures or rigging a car. All of that, the vehicle, the trees, the playground, the portfolio areas, the UI icons, the sounds, is already done. Bruno open sourced the whole thing, models included. I have prepared an asset pack you can download from the description, drop it in a static folder, and you're good. That's it. No modeling tutorial, no UV unwrapping the tower. We focus entirely on the engineering. What we are building is everything around those assets. Look at the folder structure when we set it up in the next part. It's not a typical React app. It's not a single main.js with everything stuffed inside. It's a game engine pattern, a singleton game class that owns everything, a custom ticker with ordered updated steps, and dozens of systems that all know about each other through that central hub. That might sound intimidating when you first see game.js with its 40 imports. It's not. Once you see the game loop, and we will get there, the whole project clicks into place. Every class does one job. Every class registers on a ticker at a specific order, physics before rendering, inputs before player, time before everything that needs delta time. By the end of this series, you will understand how to architect a non-trivial 3.js project without it becoming spaghetti. Fresh folder, clean slate, asset pack ready. Next part, we create a project, install every dependency, and I explain what each package is for. Let's build this thing. Alright, fresh folder, clean slate. This is where every great project starts. I'm going to create a new directory, initialize npm, and shape a package.json into what this project actually needs. Then we will lay out the folder structure, create an env file, run install, and drop the asset pack into a static folder. By the end of this part, you will have a project skeleton that matches the real repo. Nothing running yet, but all the pieces in place. First, the folder. I will call it Folio, same as GitHub repo. Make directory Folio, cd into it, and npm init-y. That gives us a bare package.json. Now I'm going to replace it with a real one. Every dependency here has a job. This isn't a random shopping list from npm search. Let me walk you through this dependency list group by group, because understanding why each package exists will save you hours later. Starting with type module. This project is ESM all the way, import and export. No common.js, Vite expects it, Three.js expects it. Every file we write will use ES modules. Core rendering first, Three.js, but throughout this project we import from 3/WebGPU, not the default build. WebGPU is the renderer we are committing to. The version matters because TSL and WebGPU renderer evolve fast. Physics, Rapier is a Rust physics engine compiled to WASM. It's what makes the car feel real. Suspension, collisions, crates you can push. The vehicle controller, we lazy load it with a dynamic import because WASM is heavy and we don't want it blocking the intro screen. Build tool and its plugins. Vite, fast HMR, native ESM, and critically it has plugins for WASM and top level await which Rapier needs. The WASM plugin lets us import Rapier as a module, top level await because some modules need await at the top level during init. Node polyfills fill in the Node.js globals that some dependencies expect. Restart auto restarts the dev server when static assets change. Huge quality of life when you're swapping a model in static folder. JSAP for smooth tunes, camera transitions, UI animations, the reveal effect when the world appears. Howler handles all game audio with spatial support, music layers, and clean API for mute toggles. Camera controls gives us orbit and free camera in debug mode. Press V with #debug in the URL. Tweak pane is debug panel with the sliders for everything, the camera kit and essentials plugins extended. StatsGL is the FPS counter when you're profiling WebGPU performance. Then we have utilities. .env loads environment variables from .env. Vite exposes anything prefixed with Vite underline to our browser code via import.meta.env. Seed random gives deterministic randomness for visual effect that needs to look random but repeat consistently. UUID for generating unique IDs. Emoji regex for validating whisper messages. Normalize will for consistent scroll behavior across browsers. Glob is used by the compressor script. Stylus is our CSS preprocessor which compiles it automatically. Then we have the scripts. We will use npm run dev constantly once we have an index.html. Build outputs to this folder. Preview serves the production build locally. Compress is for asset optimization. Now the folder structure. This matters. Vite is configured so our HTML and JS live inside sources folder, not the project root. Config file sits at the root. Asset assets sit in a static folder. Create the directories mkdir-p sources game, sources style, sources data, and scripts and static folder. Inside sources game, we will eventually have dozens of files: rendering.js, player.js, board, physics. For now, it's empty. Sources style folder holds Stylus files. Sources data folder holds static data like the console log banner and achievement list. The static folder is where the asset pack goes: models, textures, sounds, UI icons, and more. Create.env file at the project root. These are all the prefix Vite underlined, so Vite exposes them to our code via import.env. Import meta.env. We will use this throughout the series. Vite copy that to .env and set the values. We will refine them in part 3. Now install. Some pure dependency versions don't perfectly align in this stack. Use force. npm install --force. Wait for it. Good. Dependencies installed. Folder structure ready. Asset pack in place. We don't have sources files yet. No index.html, no vite.config.js, so nothing runs. That's fine. With config time, the file is small, under 40 lines, but it defines the entire dev experience, where source code lives, where assets are served from, where environment variables are read, how WASM loads when the dev server restarts. Every decision here has a reason. Let's type it at the project root. Line by line imports first. Import.env config loads.env from the project root when Vite starts. This is for node side config during dev and build. Browser code still reads env var through import.meta.env, and Vite injects those at compile time. Having .env here means anything in Vite config.js itself can also read process.env if needed. Import restart from Vite plugin restart watches paths and restarts the dev server when they change. We will configure it for a static folder. Import WASM from Vite plugin WASM plus import WASM module like Rapier. Without this import, Rapier 3D breaks in Vite. Import top level await from Vite plugin top level await. Some modules including parts of the WASM init chain needs await at the top level of module. This plugin makes that work in the browser bundle. Import node polyfills from Vite plugin node polyfills. Fills in Node.js globals like buffer. That some dependencies expect even in browser code. Now the export. 3 different root concepts. This trips people up, so pay attention. Root sources. Vite's root is where index.html lives, not the project root. Our HTML.js and Stylus all sit inside sources folder. When you run npm run dev, Vite looks for sources index.html config files. Package.json, vite.config.js.env. Stay one level up. Clean separation between sources and config. env.env sits at the project root, one level above sources directory. So from Vite's perspective, inside sources directory, we go up one directory to find .env and .env example. Without this, Vite would look for .env inside sources and miss our variables. Public directory is to static folder. Everything in a static folder is served as is at the root URL. Path is relative to the root, so static folder means project root static. Base. It's going to be a relative public path for production build. Important if we deploy to subtract or open the build this folder index.html locally from the file system. Asset resolved relative to the HTML file instead of assuming domain root. Server config. Host equals to true binds to our local IP, exposes the dev server on our local network. You will see a network URL in the terminal useful for testing on your phone. Build config. Production files go to this folder at the project root. Again, relative to root sources, so this folder empty directory true. So plugins. WASM. We have WASM non-negotiable for Rapier. WASM is a binary module format. This plugin teaches with how to bundle it. Top level await pairs with WASM. Rapier's init chain uses top level await internally. Restart. When you swap a model or a texture in static, dev server restarts automatically. Node polyfills. Some libraries in the dependency tree expect node globals. This prevents obstacle runtime error. That's the whole config. No Stylus plugin needed. Vite handles .style import natively. No Three.js plugin we import directly from 3/WebGPU. We don't have index.html yet, so npm run dev will fail or show an empty page. That's expected. Next part, we will build the HTML shell. If you want to verify Vite itself works, create a minimal sources index.html with hello world, but we will do the real one in part 4. The HTML file is the skeleton of our entire UI layer, and the 3D world renders on a canvas, but everything else, menu map, models, touch buttons, achievements is regular DOM stack on top. Create sources index.html file, head first, charset, viewport, title, description, then social meta, fonts and styles, nonito for UI text, AmaTextC for decorative headings, Stylus compiles via Vite, no extra config. Preload the 4 intro assets. They load during the loading circle before the main batch. Notice /paths. That's Vite's public directory serving from static folder. Body structure, a hidden front loader div forces webhooks to download before the intro renders, prevents fout. then the game container. One div, one canvas, Three.js WebGPU renders into .js canvas. The JS- prefix means JavaScript hooks into it, convention used throughout the project. Everything else overlays the canvas. Touch buttons for mobile. Each button has data-name mapping to an input action. Full markup is in the repo, around 900 lines. I'm not typing every line by line. What matters is the pattern. Every interactive element gets a JS- class for JavaScript. Every action gets a data-name, UI layer, stack canvas at the bottom, then touch buttons, menu, modals on top. SVG and WebP icons live in static UI folder, referenced as UI home SVG, script entry at the bottom. ESM module, Vite handles the rest. Before we write JavaScript, let's make the UI not look like raw HTML. This process uses Stylus, a CSS preprocessor, which compiles .style files automatically. Zero extra config. Create sources style index.style. One entry file imports everything. Each file owns one UI subsystem. General.style is the foundation. Reset. Full viewport fixed layout. Typography. Buttons. Input groups. Critical pattern. JavaScript adds classes to HTML at runtime, and CSS response is -started when the game boots. Is -mode -mouse -keyboard is mode touch is mode gamepad for input mode. Input filter intro disables certain inputs during the intro. Is served offline, is served online, toggles whispers and leaderboards UI, no inline styles, game state drives CSS. Font.style declares font face for plus a hidden font slider that forces download before intro. Each other file style one subsystem. Menu.style for navigation, modals.style for pop-ups, map.style for the board map overlay, interactive buttons for mobile touch buttons. Tweak pane style overrides the debug panel styles when you add #debug to the URL. I'm pasting the remaining style file from the repo rather than typing them all. Pure CSS logic, no architectural surprise. Canvas is full viewport fixed. UI layer stack on top with z-index in each component file. Next part, JavaScript entry point, two small files that kicks everything off.